Tommy and the breakfast team. Good morning. It's Qasa Alom. Welcome to Asian Network's Big Debate. 11:35 here on the Big Debate Show. I'm Qasa Alom, and it's Mental Health Awareness Week, and I'm now joined by consultant psychiatrist Dr Ramya Mohan, who is going on a tour to showcase how music and art can be used to help people with mental health problems. Dr Ramya Mohan is the founder and managing director of Imanas London, an organisation set up to promote the integration of medicine, arts, neuroscience and ability in society. Well, Dr Ramya is with me now and can tell us more about this tour. Lovely to have you on the programme today.
Thank you, Gus. I'm delighted to be here.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about Imanas and what you do to promote emotional well-being.
So Imanas was something I conceptualized a couple of years ago, in 2015, I think, to be precise. And it all came about because I'm a performing musician myself and an exhibiting artist. But alongside that, I've been a senior consultant on the NHS since 2008. So
not very busy then?
Not very busy, no, not at all. Not at all. Could do with something to fill my day. So I was just thinking about, so at times, obviously, medicine is a very hard taskmaster. So I've been through years of exams and, rigorous medical training and on calls and all that. So there was a period of time when actually there wasn't any music and art in my life. And because it was part of me for so long before this happened, I actually realized that there was a big vacuum there. It didn't feel complete at all. And at about the same time, because I'm in mental health, and mental health being the very humane speciality that it is, I came across quite a few children, young people. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, so came across quite a few children, young people who were actually successfully using art and music as a way of expression, as a way of communication. It was being used for engagement, and that got me thinking. And I realized that personally as well, it was something that was missing from my life. I'd had children by then, and I thought, well, as my children start to get older, I realized that I was enjoying doing these things with them more and more. So it got me thinking about how we could actually potentially bring these very different worlds together, start getting back into music and start getting back into art. And at the same time, I realized that as a scientist, as a medic, that in order to actually make this effective in a big way, we have to look at what we know already about the impact of creative arts on mental health and emotional well-being. So I thought that was the first step. Let's go about that. So we looked at, along with my research assistant, we looked at what was available in terms of our knowledge of music and emotions and the brain. Because for something to be acceptable to the scientific community and to the artistic community, and for people to actually, for us to be able to adapt it to populations, particular populations, we need something with a sturdy basis. So that was my first thought. So
what? Sorry to interrupt, but what is it actually that you do then? Because it's amazing hearing all these concepts, and I kind of grasp it, but I really want to know what it is that you actually do here with this.
Okay, so looking at there were a couple of scientific papers that came out of the research that we looked at, and I realized that what was lacking was that I wanted to bridge the gap between neuroscience and the creative arts, because what was lacking was something that could actually be adaptable to populations, particular populations. With that in mind, I conceptualized CAPE, Creative Arts for Processing Emotions, which is a new therapeutic technique that I developed, and the basis, it has a neuroscientific basis based on the work we did. So it pulls together all the information we know about music, well-evidenced therapeutic techniques that we hear about, mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, guided imagery, and the like, in a way that would actually support processing of emotions, irrespective of what aspect of life you're struggling with.
So what emotions can you process through music then?
So if you look at the evidence on emotional research, what we know, we identify core emotions. So emotions are very much like, if you compare it to a color wheel. So you have the positive emotions or the harmonic ones on one side. On the other side, you've got the distressing ones. And in between, you have a period of, or a place where you're actually processing them. So the idea is to get from one side of the color wheel to the other. So we identified core emotions, be it anger or hatred or disgust, pull them together into clusters that make more sense, because there is research to show that the first aspect is really about identifying the emotions that you're going through at that point in time. And that's really hard when you're going through an emotionally distressing time, because there's going to be a flurry of things that hit you. So once that is identified, there are musical pieces that actually support processing from one to the other. So it's a move from distressing towards a harmonic frame of mind, but in a staged way. So that's what CAPE attempts to do. And again, the basis for this was a paper that research that I presented at the Royal College of Psychiatrists International Conference last year. It was about pulling together because we know emotions are not unidimensional. We know they're multimodal because there are lots of changes happening around us in our environment.
Right, yeah. So I think I just want to, for the moment, you talked about all these core emotions like anger, and you talked about trying to get from one side to the other. And there are certain musical songs and that sort of thing that help you do that. What are the common... what songs are we talking about, or what do these songs have in common, if that makes sense, to get you from one side to the other?
So they're more musical pieces, and what we have used are we've based them on ragas, melodic modes from Indian classical music, but the music is anything but sticking to a particular genre. But because we know that emotions are linked to these melodic tunes, we have based it on that. And along with it, it's self-guided, but also it's supported in the sense that there are vocalizations which actually support the listener to move from one point to another. So the music takes them through it. And one of the things within the music itself is that, again, we've taken into account what we know about music.
So what do we know about music? Sorry, what is it about the music? What does it do to your brain or that sort of thing to take you to a happy place, so to speak? So
it's a combination of music and the vocalizations because as I said, because emotions are they're not static. There's constantly going to be changes in the environment we're in. So that keeps changing based on what's happening around you, the temperament of the person, the individual, and all that. So the idea is that the emotion is actually supported by more than one well-evidenced therapeutic principle, because then the hypothesis is that it can actually support the brain more optimally. This was part of the research that was presented at the Royal College.
Right.
Conference.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to kind of understand how it works.
Sorry, I'll be a bit more simplistic about that. I'm really sorry.
I'm a little bit thick. You got to forgive me for that one. If that makes sense.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So you've actually been working in the UK for a few years and had many patients, aren't you? You've been helping with this. What sort of things have come out from working with them?
Lots of really interesting things. For example, there was a child who had what we call medically unexplained symptoms. So the child actually presented with what looked like seizures and went through the whole rigmarole of investigations, which showed nothing. And eventually they identified that the medics felt that there could potentially be a psychological basis. There could be some anxiety or worry along those lines. So this child was really struggling to actually understand that it was something within the mind. The parents were struggling to come to terms with that. But through art, we were actually, the child was a wonderful artist, and through her art, we were actually able to identify that there were components of worries and anxieties. We used that as a basis to support engagement with the mental health services, and she was actually, we were able to support the family to move towards a better understanding of her psychological issues. So, and I remember another incident where there was this adolescent who was a self-harmer. This is one that strikes me. Just because of she was in such a dark place when she came to see me. She was self-harming, she was overdosing, and she was into drugs, gotten into a dissocial peer group and all that. So it was a very difficult place, and she'd started to develop eating issues. So there was a whole load of things, but she was actually wonderful. She's a wonderful artist, and she was actually able to use art as a way of distracting herself with the self-harming thoughts. When she felt like self-harming, she would draw a butterfly on her wrist. And the butterfly was so beautiful that you wouldn't want to harm it. So if you were self-harming, it would harm the butterfly. It's just a very simple but very effective technique. So using things like this, we were able to actually shift her from the very dark place she was in to a place in art college where she went on to do really, really well. So these were the kind of things that made me think, well, actually, we know that it really works on an individual level. We know that it helps this person. I know that it helps me personally. It's such a wonderful outlet for stress.
Yeah. How does it help you then? Going from a personal, what is it about like art or painting or music that helps you de-stress?
So medicine and and within the healthcare environments we work in and within the NHS, yes, we do have a lot of pressures we have to deal with, and even our patients, they bring in a lot of anxieties and worries. So after a long and hard day's work, it's always nice to come back home, and my antidote to that is really, apart from a cuppa, just sit down with my children and say, come on, let's do something, let's compose a tune, let's do an artwork, or I might just, when the children are in bed, just pick up that paintbrush and just start dabbling, and everything just feels so much better.
And is it as simple as you're just doing something that you love, or does it do something to your brain, or does it change something like that?
So we know, again, that there are areas in our brain that actually light up when we're doing something pleasurable, like music or art. And these are the same areas of the brain that are actually involved when you're processing emotions. And that was one of the things that I took into account when I conceptualized this technique, CAPE. So the idea was connect that with something pleasurable, something that's rewarding, really. So then it's very powerful, but at the same time it doesn't feel like you're actually doing a lot of work there, because that's the nature of music and art. It's just so positive and empowering.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like hard work in that sense at all. So in a very supported but in a rather sneaky way, it's actually helping the brain. That was the idea really behind CAPE.
It's fantastic. And clearly you've been doing a lot of work with people who have mental health conditions. There's a lot more awareness now, isn't there, about mental health? How much of a positive has that been?
It's definitely, I think it's so much better. And being Asian, it's always, I think, within Asian societies, there has traditionally been this
reservation or skepticism.
Absolutely. But towards the end of July 2016, I decided to take a break from substantive NHS service to do some community development work in India. So I've been in India since August. Last year, I've been in my hometown of Bangalore, trying to increase awareness about children and young people's mental health, and also propagate the importance and usefulness of music and art.
And how has that been taken up?
I think it's been very, very good, brilliant. It's no complaints at all. But again, I realize that there are pockets, and in terms of our awareness, and there is a difference, because when you compare how things are with British Asians, and when I go back to India, I see that the difficulty is the infrastructure, the lack of community support, the voluntary organizations are a lot more fragmented. So there are obviously challenges. Yes, there are challenges.
Is there more of an acceptance now from patients and their families that actually, having a mental health condition, so to speak, isn't the end of the world? It can be treated, it can be looked at, and you can get better.
I think definitely it's much better than before. But then again, I think the difficulty is that it's variable. I think certainly there's a lot that's dependent on awareness, education, and even within professional families. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a denial. So there isn't a blanket answer for that, unfortunately. But I think if we were to compare in terms of how things were about 10 years ago, even in comparison to my own life. So when I left India about over 20 years ago, the India I left and the India I've gone back to now is very different in a very positive way. So I see hope, I see positivity. Yes,
That's
and lots
fantastic.
of yes.
So tell us about this tour that you're going to be doing then. What can people expect to see at the tour, and where's it going to be?
I'm really excited about this tour. The idea was that we try and showcase these very varied components: neuroscience, medicine, art, and music. But at the same time, we also show an amalgamation of those in a way that makes sense. So that was the idea behind the tour. So this is another project through iManus, and I've been doing projects through iManus, actually bringing together say, for example, if I've been doing art exhibitions, they've been about expressing mental health through art. And there is one such exhibition that's starting today at the Nehru Centre, actually. So coming back to the tour, it's a 5-city tour: Rotherham, Liverpool, London, Doncaster, Nottingham, and
Basingstoke. Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any reason why you chose those places, or?
No, it just happened that way, actually, because it all started around the Nehru Centre, the High Commission of India Cultural Wing. I was delighted when they invited, they said they'd like to host me for the launch of Cape Youth. So I'm launching a version of Cape for Children and Young People this Thursday. Mm-hmm. So please do be there. It would be wonderful to see as many of you as possible. So I'm launching Cape Youth alongside a vernissage of my solo art exhibition, which actually runs through Mental Health Awareness Week. And that's about expressing mental health and emotions through art, as seen through the lens of me being a psychiatrist, mother, and an artist.
So what are people going to see? Are they going to see people's art, or
No, that's my artwork.
That's your artwork?
It's a solo art exhibition.
Fantastic.
Yes. So it's all my artwork. So it'd be wonderful to see people there. The highlight event is happening this Thursday on the 11th at the Nehru Centre from 5:30 to 8:30 with the Baroness of Wimbledon, who's kindly agreed to come along. So
what are you hoping to achieve through this tour? What's the aim?
The aim is to show what music and art can do individually, and neuroscience could do individually, but also showcase how they blend in beautifully. So this highlight event is about showing how it blends in beautifully, because we are going to be launching Cape Youth, and there's going to be an art exhibition and my fusion music performance as well. But alongside that, we've also I've got musical shows. So I've come here with a live band from India. We're showcasing music in a variety of genres, ranging from classical to fusion to popular to Bollywood to filmy and all that. So it's very varied in the different cities that we're going to be actually performing. And I've got a couple of talks on science, art and creativity at Liverpool Hope University.
So you're going to do all this to achieve what? Sorry, to try and make people more aware of actually how art and music can help their mental health?
Absolutely. To show how art and music and mental medicine and neuroscience can individually help people, but at the same time how powerful it would be if all these worlds come together, because it's only going to support and optimize what the brain is capable of doing.
See, yeah, I can totally see that. For me, like if I've ever had a stressful day or something, I like going to the gym, or what I'd love to do is play tennis or play squash, just hit a ball really hard, that sort of thing. Is it the same sort of part of your brain then that is being used when you're doing your physical activity? Because a lot of people, would like running or, some sort of exercise to sort of de-stress at the end of the day. Is that the same as what you're proposing with music and arts and that sort of thing?
Well, if you look at it neurochemically, there is a neurochemical called serotonin in our brains, which actually is elevated when you're exercising. So in fact, I say to my depressed patients, I say to them, actually just go for a walk, go to the gym. So it's the same chemical, and it's the same chemical that actually lifts your mood and reduces your anxiety as well, and that's the same as what art and music do as well. So there is a clear connection there.
Yeah, and just a final question really. It seems like when people are very quick to sort of go and seek prescribed medication or that sort of thing. Do you think we're over-reliant on, external meds and drugs of some sort to help us, when actually, it could come down to music, going for a run, drawing, that sort of thing?
I don't think it would. It's not necessarily a substitute. You see, I'm a medic who specializes in medication management, and I do a lot of that. But for those who need it, they need it. I don't think we can say, right, this is going to be a substitute. But what I'm suggesting is that it could potentially be complementary to those on medication and those who are not on it.
I see.
And it can only support and augment and help.
Fantastic. Well, it was lovely to have you on the programme. Dr Ramya Mohan there, who's the Managing Director of iManas. And as Dr Ramya was saying, she's going to be taking her live analysis on tour from the 6th to the 20th of May in Rotherham, London. So it's already on tour, isn't it? Rotherham, London, Liverpool, Nottingham and Basingstoke. So if you do get a chance, well, check it out.
Thanks a lot.